Hi, uh, Wesley from Triangle Factory here, and welcome to Triangle Factory here, the podcast where we, Triangle Factory, go into what is happening in our games. Maybe we're doing deep dives into coming updates, but today we're going to be talking about, hyperdash in 2024. I'm Wesley. I'm the community manager from Triangle Factory. Pleased to meet you all. Hello there. And I'm here with Orc, who is my fellow community manager and the lead developer on hyperdash. Welcome in.
That is all true. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome in, everyone. I hope you're all doing good. Today we're going to be going over hyperdash in 2024. This is what it's going to look like, right? So first we're going to talk a little bit about the road that hyperdash has taken until now. Then we're going to look into some numbers, like how has hyperdash been doing? How is it doing? Then we're also going to dive a little bit into like what's not happening this year. Then we're going to go into a roadmap for what 2024 is going to look like for hyperdash. And then we're going to end with a Q&A where we answer some questions from all of you. We'll be handpicking some questions from the chat. So if you have any, be sure to leave them at the end so that we can, take a look and see what we can answer. I think without further ado, that we can dive in. So the road that hyperdash has taken from alpha till now, Orc.
It's been a long while. It was crazy trying to find some of this info back, because as a company we also changed a lot, so I had to look in old applications we no longer use and try to find the old messages, the first designs of the GUI and stuff. It's very weird to see. But we released the first alpha in December, the 16th of December 2019.
2019 is 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
That's almost 5 years. That's a little surreal, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a period where a lot changed as well.
Yeah, we were basically kind of not live developing. We had a good core, and then over a period of a year, we basically implemented everything. We made everything cleaner. We had there was an idea in the company, and then the alpha was the period we showed ourselves that people wanted it, and then we developed it, and then a year later, a bit more than a year later actually, February 25th, 2021, we launched it. And we added 4 more game modes, where we added Capture the Flag, Team Deathmatch, Elimination, and Ball mode. Before that, it was only Control Point and what was the other one? Whoa, it's been so while, I don't remember anymore. It was Control Point at the beginning, Payload.
Yeah, listen, this was before my time, so I can't answer that.
Wow. Yes. The colored maps, yes, indeed, the colored maps. Which was Control Point, Stadium, Domination, which was yellow at the time. Waterway, then gray, which is Quarry. Payload was orange, Launchpad, and blue, Canyon.
Nice.
People still like to bring up those names when they can. And Metropolis, we can't forget about that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and then 2022, December 2022, the game went free to play. I remember my first day at Triangle Factory. I came to the office and you all were like, just FYI, in a few weeks, we're gonna launch hyperdash free to play. We thought you might want to know. And I was just immediately thrown into the deep end. But yeah, that was a really, really awesome experience. We've also had a lot of players join through free to play. There were also like a lot of customization was added. We had the stadium revamp, Volcano, and then some server browser improvements as well. And
there's a lot more players, so we needed better ways to have everyone.
Exactly. So it's been a wild ride, and next year
it's been
hyperdash turns 5 years old.
Yeah, 5 years since the launch. We already did 5 years since the alpha, but I think most people count from launch. So next year, 5 years old. Some people have been a long time.
Yeah.
They often talk about like, I've been here since Alpha 2, Alpha 3. It's like, guys, you've been here 5 years now.
Yeah. Like, it's honestly wild to think about that, like, all this time has gone past and hyperdash is still here, alive and kicking. And we couldn't be happier, honestly, as a studio as well, to have, like, still have so many people, like, support the game. It's been a really awesome experience. Speaking of which, why don't we share some numbers?
Yes, this is going to be the first time, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Numbers.
I think so.
It's kind of exciting.
Indeed. So lifetime players, I am thrilled to say that more than 2 million players have played hyperdash, and this is international and China combined.
Yes.
More than 2 million people.
It's insane. Yeah, it's crazy for like a first game that we as a company made, like commercial, having 2 million. I mean, it was crazy when we hit 1 million. I don't even remember when that was.
Yeah.
But I remember like we were making this, like what we were gonna talk about. It was like, oh, let's check the numbers again. I think it was like a few thousands off at the time. It was like, we're hitting 2 million.
I remember that moment. Everyone's like, wait, what?
Yeah. It was like at our channels, we're like, oh, by the way, hyperdash has 2 million now. Like, what?
Indeed. So 2 million players worldwide, international and China combined. That's absolutely wild. We still can't believe it sometimes. And in terms of monthly active players, I think this is like current monthly active players, right?
Yes, I think we checked it like a few weeks ago, but I checked again recently and it's still about the same.
Yeah, so monthly active players right now is at 300,000. 300,000 people play hyperdash at least once every month.
Yeah, it's
like,
not something you think about a lot.
What? That's absolutely like unbelievable, honestly. These numbers are absolutely unbelievable, and like we know that there have been some rumblings in the community of people like thinking that we might like drop support for hyperdash or like shut it down or whatever. But let me tell you, there's absolutely no reason for us to do this with these kind of numbers.
No.
Absolutely not. We truly love our players, and we also really love hyperdash, and we want to keep it running as long as possible, honestly. And to prove that, we've brought with us a roadmap for 2024 that we're going to be sharing today. And I'm very excited to share all of those things with all of you right now. Well, not right now, in a little bit.
In a little bit.
In a little bit, indeed.
But first, it's what we've said now, like the numbers, how many players we have, but we never actually also, while we're doing these numbers, we also looked at like the platforms we publish on.
That's another unbelievable one, honestly.
Yeah, so we publish on 4 consumer platforms. We publish on 4 arcade platforms, and if we count every build we have to make, like at a release point, for all the different devices, then we have to make 11 versions of hyperdash every time we do an update.
11 versions.
Support everything.
Yeah. Every time like there's Steam, an update.
The desktop Oculus or Meta version, the Quest. We now have Quest 1 as a separate build. So it even went up once since we did. Yeah. So we have a lot of players of a lot different devices. I really want to keep supporting as much of them as possible.
Yeah, that's
there's
one of
no
the
intention to drop any.
yeah, that's one of the things that I like. You mentioned Quest 1, and I've seen a couple of people ask about what will happen to Quest 1 support, and I think with our latest update, we kind of answered that question, which is that we will keep supporting it for hyperdash. We
Yes,
don't have
currently-
we don't have that many users on Quest 1 anymore. But yeah, we see no reason to really drop support for it yet. So yeah.
No. We tried to find a way to still support it this year. We found it. So I think we're still good for this year. It's of course every device eventually have to reevaluate and then do we still support it. But for now, we set it in stone that we're still supporting it, probably for the rest of this year.
Yes, indeed. Another thing that the community has asked a lot about, and that is what happened to the networking update?
Yes.
I love how the music just stopped right as I asked.
It's totally the perfect time. Yeah, so before we were working on free to play, we told publicly that we were reworking the networking code. But that kind of then was set aside to make it go free to play. And then since free to play, we've done a lot more updates, and we've never really touched the networking version anymore. But we also reached the point where you don't see the use of it directly, so we've put it in the freezer. But it's also unlikely it's gonna come out of it again. Of course, we can't ever exclude that. But it took us a lot of time to get it almost done. To then unfortunately have to put it aside, and so restarting it will probably take again a lot of development time again. Because we made Vivox was implemented after then. The whole free to play is not on that. All the updates since then are not in that version, and we basically have to again be remade. We had to remake the whole game to change the networking. So I mean, we've never said that publicly that we're no longer working on that. So this is now time to say it.
Yeah, exactly. People have been wondering long enough about it, and we just wanted to be transparent about it and just mention it here 100%. So with that out of the way, I think that we can get into some hyperdash in 2024. Who's ready for that, chat? Who's ready for that? So yeah, let's see what hyperdash has in store for 2024. Right, so let's jump into hyperdash in 2024. I just want to take a moment to say that everything you see here is subject to change. We don't have any way to see into the future as to how things will go, if there are any complications or delays or whatever. So everything we share here is subject to change due to various things that aren't within our control. But we do feel that the timeline that we're going to share here is realistic. But we never know what will be thrown on our paths. Regardless of that, let's jump right in with what we did, I think, last week. We did a fixes update last week. As you can see, it's already been released. I'm sure you've noticed it. And there's a couple of things that we introduced during that update that we just briefly want to go over. So one of those things is standardized height. So that is now a thing. We're doing some experimental sprint changes to see how that goes. And this also might evolve in the future. And we'll come back to that in a different slide. And we also provided support for -13 accounts on Meta's side. Orc, do you want to say anything about these things?
I think it's worth mentioning for the standardized height, what it mainly does. It actually just enables seeded mode for everybody, and calibrates you at specific points. So like on level loads or stuff like that, it will recalibrate you automatically so that you don't need to think about, am I the correct height? It should do it for you. This means that it has been simplified for new players and in public lobbies and everything. For people that don't like it and really don't want to play with it, they can still disable it using the mutator that disables it again. But we have standardized the height now for all players to make it easier to come in as a new player, and not have to think about, am I the correct height, or why am I not the correct height, and how do I turn on seeded mode and stuff like that.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, standardized height. We introduced it right now, and you can still disable it with mutators if you want to. When it comes to the experimental sprint changes, this is something we're gonna come back to later in a later slide. It's something we're testing out and gathering feedback on. And as with all of the updates that we do, we genuinely value player feedback. So if you have any feedback on any of the things that we introduced in this past update, or just feedback in general, please send it our way so that we can take a look at what we can do. Now, we've had our March update, but what's next? What's next for Hyperdash?
In June, we're gonna do a big content update, which first of all, we're gonna add weekly challenges.
Yes.
You'll have a few maybe challenges to do every week. When you do them, you'll get a small reward, and some variation in maybe a play style or stuff you're doing. We add in-game polls, and the in-game polls, the purpose of them is gonna be to get a more general, sense of feedback. Like we said it before this section, we have a lot of monthly players, but not all of them are in our Discord. So if we want to do changes or anything, we needed a better way to get a more general feedback. And those in-game polls are going to be our way to ask questions that everybody can give their few options to select one of them, and that gives us a sense of what direction some features will have to go, and we'll use it once in a while to get general feedback.
Yeah, exactly. It'll basically allow us to assess certain features more adequately, to see what players want to see, what players would not like to see, to really make an informed decision on certain changes that we're maybe thinking about, or certain features that we're thinking about implementing and how they should be implemented. So it's really about, gathering more data to work with to see okay, this is something we can do, this is something we shouldn't pursue. So yeah, indeed, in-game polls, excited about it.
Yes. I'm writing my list of questions already. We're also gonna unlock levels until 999.
Yes.
Currently, it's locked at 100. It has been for, I think, a year or two now. A lot of the older players have reached that and are kind of stuck and don't have any more progression in a sense. So this uncapping will bring it to 999. And I'm scared for the first person that gets it.
Yeah, who's it gonna be?
I don't know.
It's not gonna be me, probably. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see how players are going to continue leveling after this. It's gonna be really cool to see. There is, however, one thing we need to be thinking about, when we're gonna do this, right?
Yes. We currently have the level lock servers. That this helps newer people to kind of get used to the different levels of playstyle. So the beginners are a bit safer. A lot of mistakes can be made, and then the intermediate is already more extreme, and then you have the advanced where also all the level hundreds, for instance, are in there. So very extreme play sometimes. But because we're unlocking that, we don't really know what we need to do with those level locked servers.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea of I'm a level above 40 until level 100 completely changes, and we we don't want to add too many of these channels. We don't these servers, sorry. But we also understand the need of them. So the question is, what do we do with them? Do we change the levels? I know, for instance, Last from Dash League wants like a specific change, and we'll see if we can make that happen. But so if people have like an idea of where we should put the cutoffs, of how you should separate people more, we'll definitely want to hear that part. Because I'm still thinking about it. I'm not sure. It's a hard one.
Yes. Exactly. So if you have any ideas, any of the players out there, feel free to mention it to us. We would be very grateful to have some extra info on this, to see what you all will think. And then we got highlighted map rotation. And if I'm not mistaken, this is something we have tried before, something we have experimented with before.
Yes, when free-to-play launched, or shortly after, we ran an experiment of a new highlighted map, so just one of the map in selection and rotation, with some mutators. I put that as like a bigger button that people can click on, and see how people reacted to that. And it was always popular. People selected on it, clicked on it. It's the moment we swapped one, we saw the other one like instantly be the highest voted one. So people really like these variations. I've also heard that people want more mutators in public lobbies. And so this is kind of our way of bringing that in public lobbies. It would be a rotation of pre-selected maps with pre-selected mutators that go in a rotation. And then every week, probably maybe 2 weeks, we'll have to decide the timeline of it. A new one will be highlighted on the servers. And this brings more variation to public lobbies, and brings a better way to use mutators in public lobbies, because now it's kind of like the random map needs to be selected and maybe you have a mutator, but now it will be a set map with a set selection of mutators, for like a week or two.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that, because indeed I do agree that the mutators sometimes go a bit unnoticed. So yeah, really, really cool change that's going to be happening. And then there's one more thing of which we can't really say a whole lot, but there are big lobby changes coming. We are looking into making the lobby for players a little bit more interactive, a little bit more useful. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. On the slide, you can see a little sneak peek. However, the most important part of it is kind of covered. So we'll...
was too much of a sneak peek with that.
Yeah, exactly.
We had to remove it.
So we will be sharing more details about that at a later date, but we are looking forward to these lobby changes, and I hope that all of you are as well. So yeah, that's the update that we have planned for June. After that, we are looking toward August. And in August, we kind of want to see what we can do in terms of meta changes, because yeah, there have been a couple of meta changes in the past, but not many in the past like year or so, and we do want to bring some freshness into hyperdash with new meta changes, new gun changes, stuff like that. And here the most important part is to do that with feedback from all of you. So the in-game polls that we mentioned before, they would be also used to poll the player base to see like, hey, this gun needs a buff, or this one could use a nerf, or different parameters that we could change to make these weapons more attractive to use. But also maybe some are way too overpowered and we can like bring them down a little bit. And it's really important to do that with player feedback. So yeah, we're going to use those polls to our advantage and see what's what. Because if I remember correctly, Orc, the SMGs are kind of like an ongoing discussion.
the SMGs have been contentious for a bit now. And I've read all the threads, I've read all the messages about him. I see it come up once in a while again. But the issue is that I can't find a good consensus of what the real issue is. Is it the SMG that is overpowered? Is it just its map placement in some maps? Is it I've even saw people talk about, yeah, if the burst is more powerful, it would be fine. So this is probably something we'll condense into a poll and then see what people think about it, what direction we need to take this change. And that this is why we want to add polls for stuff like this, where we know there's feedback about it, or we assume there's going to be feedback about it, and we know there are multiple options where we can take them to. But just doing it and then putting it in the game, it's not going to get received well. So we want to make sure that we get a good sense of what the public thinks about it. I know Dash League will send their own remarks too separately, or the competitive part will definitely also make it known what their opinions are on it. So we just try to get better feedback, and using that better feedback, we want to in August try to make some changes. And see what we can do.
Indeed, yeah. Because like, especially for subjects that are like a bit divisive and no one is like agreeing on any certain thing, it's really important to have a better overview of what people are thinking, and these polls are really going to help us with that. So yeah, if you have any ideas, again, ideas are welcome, suggestions are definitely welcomed. So yeah, please let us know in terms of meta changes what you would like to see in hyperdash for the August update. And then after August, we enter the last, like, the back half of the year with fall and winter, and we are also planning a couple of things for that.
Yes, we are. We're currently investigating what maps we can take that already exist, and then see what game modes we can put in them and have it be fun. For instance, one that's going to be probably very easy is Volcano and then Control Point on it. It's almost perfect, I think. We still need to test it and make sure of it, of course. But I find that, like, in my head currently, it's like a given that's going to work. But we're also looking at combinations that might not be obvious, seeing if they would work, and then we're going to probably add them around that time.
Yes, indeed. And then we also are bringing back the Halloween map, which has been, it's been an exciting thing, and it's coming back. And then we're also planning a winter map for, around the holidays. You can already see a couple of happy penguins on the slides. They're really cute. And I'm really, really looking forward to that as well. Because I always like seasonal maps in video games. I think it's really a neat way of incorporating what's happening in the world. So yeah, that's another thing to look forward to in the fall and winter of this year. And with that, I think we've basically gone through most of the things. So here's another overview of all of the things that we've talked about. So March, we had our fixes update, and feedback on it is very much welcomed. In June, we're going to unlock the levels to go up to 999, which is going to be very exciting, along with a couple of other changes like a big lobby overhaul. And then in August, we're planning some meta changes, mostly informed by player feedback. And then in Q4, we're going to add some more game modes on more maps, and also the Halloween and winter maps.
Yes. As always, these things can slightly change. We might have to push something. We might have to cancel something. We've even said now already. We hope we can stick to this.
Yes.
I guess we'll only see at the end of the year.
Exactly. But we're going to try our best. I think we're going to go over to the Q&A section to answer some of your questions.
Hello.
Did y'all like that? Was it a bit all right? We were super excited to share this roadmap with you all. It was, it's been really nice, like, sharing this with all of you, like, live in our Discord. It's really freaking neat. Q&A. If you have any questions, just place them in the chat, and we'll pick a few few questions out. There's one question that we saw that I'd like to ask you, Orc, and it's about the networking. So what does it mean when we said like there was no significant improvement, and when were we working on this?
We were never sure if it was gonna improve. We said that when we said we were gonna do the networking change, that we hoped that it would improve networking. So we're working on it, but real changes. It's hard to say if there would have been real changes. I think, unfortunately, part of the problem is that hyperdash is dashing around goes very fast.
Yeah.
And so yeah. So was there going to be a significant improvement? It's hard to say, and the only way you would figure it out is at the end. And it's like a long road to get there, and it's yeah, it would mean like a year, no development at all for hyperdash, and a lot of work has to be redone then.
I see a question from Snarples who asks, how often do the devs play? Any chance for community lobbies with devs? I honestly would like to play Hyperdash more than I actually am. It's very difficult to find the time for it. But yeah, how often do you play Orc? When it's like not for play tests?
I used to play a lot. There was a time where I was on par with the pros, but that has been some years now.
I was gonna say proof.
Proof? Well, I don't have any proof anymore. I once did a tryout for a team.
Oh really? Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah, stop on.
Right.
Yeah.
My answer is I would love to play it more, but time. I want like where's the DLC where I can buy extra time in my life to do things that I want to do? That would be great.
Yeah.
Let's see. I notice a few suggestions I deeply care about were closed and locked. Is there an opportunity for continued feedback around those items, or are those decisions finalized?
If you know which one is, you can post in questions for. Is there one here? I assume so. Yeah, question for the team, and I can give you my best possible response why I closed them. I did do a cleanup when I did the release, so I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I closed a lot of them, I think.
Kosin asks, what exactly did the sprint change do, and how does it work, and what was the intended effect?
The intended effect is to stop micro circles, or however you want to call it. At the time, it was just sprint circling. When we wanted to fix this, I think sprint circling is a lot more in general, but it's just at a very small space, like a meter, 2 meters or something. People would run in eights or run in circles, and it would be very hard to hit for a lot, especially newer players, but even I think a bit higher. It's very annoying because you have less time to anticipate people, because you can just wiggle around basically, and you don't know if they're going to wiggle left, right, forward, or backwards. So that's kind of what it tries to fix. But it is a mutator for specifically the reason that it was hard to judge if it is the right fix at a whole. I've been reading the thread. Probably some fixes have to, or like some balancing changes have to be made to it, because it's affecting it a bit too much maybe. But that's kind of what the goal is and how we try to fix it. Just if you make a circle or change rotation too fast in too small of a space, it slows you down.
Right.
That's what it does.
Thank you for the answer. We got Sir Fries. Love the name. Now I'm hungry. Are we getting any new cosmetics? Is that something we can even answer?
Is that something you can answer? I'm trying to It's not sure.
Yeah, I would love
Um,
some new cosmetics though, but it's something that we'll have to look at like in between all the other updates that we're doing this year to see if there's room for that. And we also don't want to, we don't want to cut things that we really, really want to do this year in Hyperdash just because we want to add some more cosmetics. So it'll depend basically. How's the leveling system gonna work? Yeah, we're asking ourselves the same question, I think.
it's fun. But you have a Google Sheet where we did the original calculations for like how long it would take to get to level 100, and I just extended it to 999 and ran the numbers, and I'm trying to see how long it should take to get to 999. So how will it work? I'm still changing the numbers to see it. But yeah, I remember when we did the original 100, we calculated it to take a year, and I think people did it in 4 months. So it's, yeah, how do you calculate for that?
Yeah. I'm just vibing to the music, honestly. This is just gonna be the rest
Every
of the rest of the broadcast.
I have to uninstall and reinstall Hyperdash a lot, and then I sometimes misclick and go to the store, and then it's instantly like, oh, jamming for like a few minutes. While I'm,
I think
I've
seen you jam at your desk, like just totally in the zone.
Here, Jaded, will Triangle Factory be sponsoring more tournaments since there's such an active player base?
We're currently still sponsoring Dash League. But yeah, we're not like sure if we're like going to sponsor any other events. However, if there's any, people that organize these events, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to us on our support email, support@trianglefactory.be. And we'd be happy to like look into what we can do for you to support your event, whether that's like maybe financially or maybe with in-game credits, for instance. So yeah, if you like shoot your shot, if you're doing an event and you want to look into some sponsorship, yeah.
You can help a bit with in-game promotion, I guess, because we have the in-game banners that we can put images on, like we do for Dash League, Hypercup at the moment. Are there? I think those are the two.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, if you have an event that you might want to get some sponsorship for in whatever way possible, you can reach out to us via support, and yeah, we'll look into it. How about in-game spectating? I think that's a difficult one.
It's a difficult one, but at the same time, I think I can say pretty confidently that it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Will we ever be able to purchase the Sentinel skin without the bundle? I would say probably not.
No, it's gonna stay a bundle, but we still need to look into for people who are on Steam to add it to Steam.
Yeah.
That is one of the tasks we have. Still needs to happen.
Exactly, because right now it's only available through Meta, I think. And we've had some people ask about if this is also coming to Steam, and the answer to that is yes, it will come to Steam, but we just need some extra time for that. Aspie asks, can map creation be given to the public to allow new maps to come into Hyperdash? And I think I know the answer to that as well. That's probably going to be a bit difficult as well. And
it's
highly
one
unlikely.
Of those dream IDs, right?
Yeah, it's something we would love to add. It's something we would love, but it's very it's a difficult endeavor, and it's highly likely that won't happen. But it's definitely a dream. Is the major
one of the reasons why custom maps is hard is because we publish on so many platforms, so we need to make sure that any even modding sports, basically needs to work on a lot of different devices and a lot of different targets, and it's a hard nut to crack. And so it's a dream, you want to give that to the players, but it's also a lot of work to set that up. So it's often not a priority.
Mr. V asks, without the networking update, is there still work being done on hit reg improvements?
No, not at the moment.
If you have any more questions, you can always put them in the questions for team channel as well. We'll try to answer as many as we can. I want to thank you all so much for being here tonight. Or well, for us it's tonight. Some people it's probably like morning or something. I don't know. But thank you so much for being here. It was really, really fun doing this live. And we genuinely hope to do this more. Any feedback on this as well, like this format and how we're doing it, is also welcome. Please send it our way. Because, yeah, obviously we would love to make improvements where we can. And yeah, I think we can say goodbye for now. Do you have anything to add, Orc?
No, it has been great. I like to see the feedback and the people who are dedicated to hyperdash. I've been seeing a lot of what Dash League is doing also with like all the community, and a lot of love goes in hyperdash from a lot of different people also outside of the company, and it's great to see.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope to see you soon again, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.